Hello and welcome to the Lou Review. I'm your host, Rosa Hart, and today we are going to learn about a new gift to people who are recovering from surgeries. The business is called Necessary Comforts. Joan, the founder, is here to share the story of their inspiration and how they built this startup here locally in Kentucky. So thank you so much for being with me today, Joan.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. I think this is really exciting to be on a Louisville podcast because the ones I've been on are not local, and it's wonderful to have a local interest.
Exactly. It's amazing how things can really catch on outside of the area you live, sometimes before where you are. And it kind of reminds me of this quote in the Bible, like, no man is a prophet in his own country. Have you heard that?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. I know they don't. Sometimes you're more important elsewhere than you are in your own backyard.
Well, until they see the rest of the country's doing this, maybe we should catch
Yeah.
on.
I mean,
But well, I think we've set the stage with a lot of suspense. So first of all, could you tell us some more about what Necessary Comforts is and how it became a business for you?
well, I am a breast cancer survivor, as you know, and when I was first diagnosed, there wasn't that much information on the internet or on anything about, and I had no clue about what would happen to me. I just knew I was going to have a mastectomy. I understood what that was. I had to put it out of my mind. I had a very high powered business at that time, and it was very competitive, and I opted to keep it as a secret. I had a very viable giftware sales representative business, and I had a showroom in Ohio. And so I just had to keep going on working.
So you kept
So I had
kept
what
your
I
diagnosis a secret? Is that what you
yes,
mean?
I told only my friends. I had what was called the short list from a movie, I think. And I had my friends on there with their phone numbers, and I sent it all to them and printed and sent it. And they all knew where the other ones lived, who was to call who was going to be at the hospital with me, and the whole 9 yards. I was luckier than most women. I never went to an appointment by myself. My friend Kathy took me to every single appointment. She and my friend Judith sat through surgery. They brought me to the hospital. I woke up with Kathy rubbing my head. I mean, it was very touching. So the first friend came and stayed with me, Anne, for the first 9 to 8 days or so. Then my friend Gretchen flew cross country, and she stayed another week. And she saw the drains, she wasn't there maybe an hour or two. And I had them just hanging in a metal bowl. And she saw that. I didn't know what to do with them.
Yeah.
I had nothing to put them in. And she looked at me and she looked at the drains and she said, "That's not working for me." And I said, "And Clara Barton, you are not." So I took a nap in the afternoon, and she found my old sewing machine that was actually one of my grade school friends' mothers, and brought it upstairs and found an old trade bag from a trade show and cut it apart and put socks in it and made this garment for me to put the drains in so she wouldn't have to see them.
Wow.
And so I wake up and she said, "Here, put this on."
And it was kind of like
It was just yes, like an apron.
a
String.
fanny pack, kind of, that it goes around your waist.
Yeah. And so I said to her, "I'm not putting that on. You put rope on it." And she said, "Well, I couldn't find your ribbon." And I told her where the ribbon box was. And I said, "At least put the ribbon on it. I'm not wearing something with rope."
That sounds scratchy.
Yes. So anyway, she went down, found ribbon, put ribbon on it.
Much more
and,
comfortable.
And she didn't have to look at the drains. So it was very, very funny how that all came about. Anyway, 2 or 3 surgeries later, and I did not have the best luck of the draw on surgeries. I wound up with an infection. So it was in, out, in, out. I had a hematoma. Everything that you could have go wrong went wrong. So I wound up with 10 surgeries. And then also I wound up with a second bout. So, as maybe about by the fourth surgery, when she had flown cross country again, we were combining points, we were doing all this stuff, and she was there again. And we were after dinner one night. I said, well, either we're going to use this and make something out of it or not make something out of it. Maybe other women would want this too.
Right.
Maybe other people would want it. So as she was there, I went to the Secretary of State's website and went ahead and just registered the business.
Oh my good. Necessary comforts?
Comforts, yes. And we're both drinking wine, and I registered
And
the
this is
business.
week one of
No,
the
no,
first
this
surgery?
was
This is
after the
later.
second or third surgery.
Okay.
You know,
Because
this
you've been
was a
using
few,
it
I was
several
using
times.
this thing over and over again, and I thought, okay, we've got to make something. We've got to tweak this
Mm-hmm.
and let it be out there on the market.
Mm-hmm.
So as I had said, I had had a showroom in Columbus.
Mm-hmm.
I had a few hospitals there that would come and shop.
Mm-hmm.
We made a fabric one. Now
Okay.
we make the mesh one almost exclusively because that's our best seller, because the mesh is great for the shower because it drips dry. And we've tweaked it. It's very long now to fit around wide girth people, which the Ohio State University James Cancer Center asked us to make it wider. So we did do that for them. And they're now our biggest customer.
Oh wow.
They send every patient home with one.
That's amazing.
So yes, that
You've really created like a movement here with this.
and
It's
so
so
yes, we would like the opportunity to be in other hospitals. We're negotiating with two.
great.
So we registered the business.
Wow.
And I kept showing it to, that was when we had the fabric one, and I couldn't get anywhere. And we realized then that people needed it when they went home from the hospital, not after they were home,
Right.
not as so much, yes, it's a nice gift if you're giving it to someone who's pre-mastectomy, you know, or ahead or right after, because you only keep your drains 10 days, 2 weeks. Some people have them longer, but usually not.
And hopefully you don't have to have 10 surgeries
Yes.
over and over again. Hopefully.
And so anyway, I had them. A few people knew about it. A few school teachers that I knew in different parts of the country. They showed it to friends, and they were actually, because they work with so many women, that was who bought it to start with. Those were my earliest sales.
Not that men don't ever need
Well,
surgical
no,
brains. Yeah.
the one we make for OSU is black because they give it more to men.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So that was how it all came about. And finally, we got some interest from OSU. Took us a couple of years in negotiation, and first it went to them through a donation program where they were giving it to the hospital, and then the nurses were giving it to patients. And now the hospital is buying from us directly, and it's been a year and a half, and we just worked on a contractual thing for another year and a half. So we're good through September of 26. So that's really pretty exciting. Yeah.
Well, and this is not just so you registered a business with the idea, like in the beginning. Did you have to put in a patent for it as well?
I did not do that and looked into it. I've trademarked the name, but my then IP attorney had me down at her office, and a medical patent attorney was there, and he said he reviewed the whole thing. It would be so costly for us as a new company to defend the patent, you know, if I wasn't getting funded. That's the other thing I should say. This has completely been as they say, bootstrapped, just self-investment, and all proceeds from sales have been reinvested. And we, you know, as soon as we have sales, we buy more raw materials.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear you talk to an intellectual property attorney though.
Oh,
about
yeah.
it, just to make sure you're, covering your bases and is it worth it?
And even when we changed it, we spoke to them again, and
when you made it
it would
mesh
be-
instead of fabric.
we have specific machinery to manufacture ours now where, yes, it could be duplicated, but not exactly as we make it. And no one's going to spend this much time having it be soft cotton. That's next. The one thing about our product that is makes it unlike anything else on the market, there's no Velcro. There's no heavy webbing material like the backpack strapping, which is irritating to the skin.
Yeah.
Velcro is irritating to the skin. It's all soft cotton.
No rough edges.
No rough edges, and mesh, which can easily be washed and drip dries.
Yeah.
So you have something to put on while you're in the shower.
And if you have drains that you have to like empty out, then I like as a nurse, I like the mesh because you can see through it if it's filling up.
That's right. That's right. And this will hold 4 JP drains, up to 6 JP drains. And I think it carries a couple of Blakes. And the only one because of the seam in the middle that holds them upright, it does not hold an accordion drain. And so we have to work on something for accordion drains.
Just make
I
it a
have
little
to
bit
get a sample.
Yeah.
For an accordion drain. So you can wear it crossbody or as
Yeah. It's very adjustable.
very adjustable and very sturdy, and the tie is very sturdy.
That's awesome. Joan, I just absolutely love how you took your journey and made it into a gift for the rest of humanity, basically.
Well, and then, I mean, it's something you feel you have control of your drains. And as Scott Columns had said when he talked about my product recently at the Canopy Good Business Summit, he said we offer dignity to patients. And that is truly true. We do. I mean, don't you want to feel better about having something in stylish cotton instead of a tiny backpack, which is what Norton or Baptist, that doesn't even hold your drains. I think they gave me a fanny pack.
See, that's what I was thinking at the first part, the fanny pack.
But it
That's
doesn't
not big
hold
enough, is it?
well, no, and your drains go sideways in it, and it doesn't fit you, and it's all that rough webbing around your sensitive skin, and it doesn't hold more than 1 or 2 drains. I have 3 drains, 4 drains. So this will hold all of your drains.
That is fantastic. Now, you mentioned something about the Canopy. What's Canopy Kentucky?
Canopy Kentucky is a company that I think they're 3 years old now, and we have not quite 100 members and certified companies, a combination of both. I think it's about 80. And there's a mix of companies from small manufacturers like myself to I know that Louisville Paving is involved, Guardian Owl Digital, which is an SEO company, Jay Smith, Root of Pie, who is a web developer for nonprofits.
Well, that's
There's
a variety.
huge variety of companies. There's HR people. It's just a huge variety of companies. And we all want to give back to our employees and give back to the community.
Okay.
We volunteer each year for Twisted Pink for their gala and also for Hope Scarves because both of them are related to metastatic and to breast cancer.
Right.
So that is something we want to support. And, we also, through an organization we belong to, try and give as much as we can to the VA hospital in the way of food at Christmas time. And so we do contribute to different things.
That's fantastic. Now, you and I, before we got started, we were talking about the people who do the sewing of this.
Yes. Well, right now we are manufacturing ourselves. Annie Laurie, my partner, and I do all the manufacturing together until we have another large hospital, and we use 2 contract sewers. So we're not in a facility yet. We're still home studio based. And
fantastic. But you like to hire people
we
that
would
live
like to
locally to do
open,
it?
yes, we would like to open a facility and hire women who have some sewing skills to work with this. Hopefully mothers with children in school, because Annie Laurie was a teacher and I was a mother, raised 3 children. So I'm very aware of children's school schedules and being responsive to that. And parent teacher conferences, we don't have to work every single day. We can always schedule around
Right. And there's not a lot of people who do sewing anymore. So I think that's kind of
a new
a,
skill.
a niche thing that people could tap into if they're looking into. I've seen so many posts in the last few weeks on Facebook of women who are saying, I'm looking for part-time work to do between 9 and 3 because that's the only time my kid's in school and it's just too short of a window for most part-time
Yes.
jobs to have something. So they may need to learn how to sew, right?
Yeah.
So
And that was my problem when I started. I could not get it manufactured. And I used contract sewers. And then Annie Laurie joined me, and even though she is a librarian by trade, she was a quilter.
Oh,
And so she has sewing skills that
okay.
I did not have.
Nice.
And so we went to a technical processes trade show and found equipment that was made specifically for us. And so we have an industrial sewing machine. We call that Ethel.
Ethel,
And,
Ethel, the industrial sewing machine.
and then we
That's fantastic.
and then we call our attachment that does all the magic in putting this together, we call that Faith. Because I gave the manufacturer my credit card, had no idea what we were getting,
Wow.
had no idea when it would come, and had no idea how much it was going to cost. So that was quite an experience. And then we found that we could find our sewing machine. We bought our sewing machine in Kentucky. There was a distributor in Hopkinsville, Kentucky.
Really?
And so instead of buying it in Atlanta or on the West Coast, we bought it from Hopkinsville, Kentucky.
Kentucky's
That
got
was
some good stuff.
that
All right.
Kentucky has some wonderful things like that that we don't know that exist. But I did not want to send it overseas. Everyone told me to start with. I wanted to manufacture it locally.
Good. I'm glad you have. As much as, people want to send things overseas, we've got a lot of people from overseas coming here. I don't know if we have kind of a refugee community here.
Yes, we
And I
do.
know Dream Over Louisville and EE's Teepees, they make things that they hire the refugee women to sew for them. And so that gives them a way to get work done here when it's kind of hard for them to learn a lot of things with the language barrier as they're learning.
Kentucky Refugee Ministries, which is adjacent to Highland Press, they have, I think the program is really more Highland Presbyterian, is the Stitch program,
Okay.
which teaches a lot of the refugee ladies how to sew.
Oh,
And they
nice.
all get to go home with a used sewing machine.
Oh, really?
They get donated sewing machines. They're
That's
on Facebook
fantastic.
Marketplace. There are sewing machines all the time.
True.
These 1940s, and they still work.
Yeah, yeah.
And they send them all home with sewing machine. And
Wow. I
and
didn't even know
if
about that.
they sew things, they have a couple of events at the Stitch program. And I know that one of the things I bought were called microwave bowls, where you could put your soup in the bowl. It was like a pot holder, and it was not hot holding it, or popcorn, or something like that, kind of like a mug rug, and the ladies benefit from that because they get the income from that product.
That's fantastic. Yeah. So there's a lot more going on in the sewing world in Louisville than one might think.
Yeah, there really is. And there's a whole bunch of different programs like that people don't know exist.
Yeah. So, um, I really appreciate you sharing about your company here. Now, what if somebody wants to get just like one for an individual that they
We
know? Can
have
they order
our
that?
website, which is necessarycomforts.com. And we also have a shop on Etsy, which has a little bit more product in it
Okay.
than the website has. We're getting the website done right now. We were just granted the STEP program, which is through the state for trade expansion,
Nice.
because we had some sales on Etsy from overseas.
Ooh.
So we've added languages to our website. We
Nice.
had that done by a local web designer. And so we're moving along with all of that. And I'll go ahead and put up a Rosa code on the website. and on Etsy,
Well,
where
thanks.
they'll be entitled to a 10% discount.
Nice. You want to use Rosa Raves? That's my
I
Instagram handle.
Well, will that be too long for? Maybe we'll just use Rosa
Okay.
because it's
ROSA.
easier. ROSA. Type that in on either our website or Etsy, and
Okay.
you'll get a 10% discount. But wait until tomorrow because I have to put that on there tonight.
Well, this will come out on Monday, so
So
we
it
good.
will be
Yeah.
absolutely fine on time.
It will.
So I hope that this is exciting, and I hope that people are more interested. And if they want to reach us, have any questions, it's necessarycomforts@gmail.com.
Nice.
And what else can I say?
Well, I have to say, I love it that you didn't outsource the production, but now you're selling overseas. Look at you go.
Yes, that's right. And I have high hopes that we'll get, we have a counselor at the Commerce Department. There's all sorts of exciting things going on that way.
Yeah.
But we would like to be in a hospital locally.
Mhm.
We made a couple that were colors of one local university,
Yeah.
which a white with blue. So
Okay.
we have a little bit of interest there.
Yeah, get it branded.
Yes, and we fit all of their categories because we're women-owned small business and we're women's business enterprise and all of the other certifications that one needs.
That is
So,
just amazing. Thank you so much, Joan, for sharing this inspiring story because I think, building a business is hard. And so anytime you can hear about someone's making it happen, and it's just really hopeful. And it's a great way to start the new year. This is the first episode of the Lure Review podcast for 2025. And we're just starting it off on a strong foot here. So,
well, thank you so much, Rosa. This has been delightful.
well, thank you, Joan. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave me a comment. If you know of another small business or nonprofit that's making the Louisville, Kentucky area great, definitely let me know about it so I can interview them as well. And follow me on @RosaRaves on social media. And that's where I'll be sharing pictures of the Necessary Comforts garment as well as my adventures throughout the year. And I'll see you in the next episode.